really cold.
Yes, it is. Okay, so hey guys, Animated Heroine here, and Sean's back. We just saw The Nut Job.
Yeah.
Surprisingly watchable.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the trailers made it out to be.
Yeah, well, I was expecting it to be probably worst movie of the year, which maybe it might still be. Actually, hopefully it is. That way we'll have a good year, but,
What about that other one? Wasn't that one worse?
What?
You said there was another really bad one this year. The dinosaurs?
That was last year.
Oh, that counts as last year. Okay.
I
guess, yeah.
I went and saw Walking with Dinosaurs a couple weeks ago, and I haven't done the review on that. I actually did record a vlog, but I wound up coming up as kind of
Angry?
angry, yes, but sort of disconnectedly angry.
I'd like to see that.
No, it's not good. So it will definitely be on my best and worst films list. Guess which side? And
Best.
I'll talk about it then. Got it, Sean. Good job. So this is actually the first animated movie of 2014. And I expected it to be really bad. And it's not good, but it's actually not too bad.
It was perfectly mediocre in every way.
Yeah, basically. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. It's watchable.
It didn't have any huge weaknesses, but absolutely no real strengths either.
Yeah, I mean, from the trailers, I expected it to be very lowbrow and very,
There was a one weird moment where they started dancing to Gangnam Style, or however you pronounce it, and it didn't make any sense until the very end when the credits came up and you realized how many South Koreans were involved in the making of this film.
I don't know about that. I think they were just trying to play to a...
I guess, but why did animated Psy come out during the credits and dance?
Yeah, again, just trying to play to a popular trend.
I guess.
Just because it's watchable doesn't mean it's not
dumb.
A bad movie, and one of the things that perfectly mediocre films do is they try to play to, that's a very common thing, very common tropes for animated films, is they try to, that's basically a pop culture reference.
True, but that's kind of like earlier part of last year's pop culture reference.
Well, they're obviously not very good. Well, that's one of the things that this film is definitely lacking, is its sense of humor is not good. The upside to that is that it's not as stupid as you would think it is. The jokes don't make you roll your eyes necessarily. They just don't make you laugh.
Right. The one thing that also, just going back, to the Gangnam Style or whatever, is that the look of the film and the city had a very 50s, early 60s feel, just the style of clothing and the dress, and yet there's this song out of nowhere.
Again.
Yeah, I know.
Pop culture references.
That's true.
In an animated film, does it really? I mean,
yeah,
Aladdin was the one that started it. And
true.
Look at when that film was set and.
But there's also that fan theory. It's the future. No, it just was the one thing I say about the movie is while the animation wasn't maybe the most beautiful I've ever seen, they actually spent a lot of time, you could tell, on how they made everything look.
The animation wasn't bad, no. It was one of those things where going into it I was like, this is going to be incredibly stupid. And then it started, and after about 5 minutes I turned to him and I was sort of like, this is not so bad.
Yeah, I was expecting to absolutely hate the main character, and
I kind of liked him.
He was honestly one of the least annoying. He wasn't stupid at all.
No.
They made him look in the trailer like he was just kind of, I want to help, but...
I mean,
but he wants to help, but he's an idiot. He wasn't an idiot at all. In fact,
he kind of looked like a what was the guy's name in Bug's Life? The main character.
Flick.
Flick.
Yeah,
he kind of looked like a Flick type character.
But he really wasn't. In fact, the only reason half of the stuff went wrong for him was the people around him messed up.
And he's an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a nice guy. That being said, he wasn't
at the beginning of the movie when he has the chance to either save the female character, Andy and Grayson. And he's like, no, you know what, I'm going to take my nuts. I was like, good. Good, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're just making him a straight up asshole.
No.
That's more interesting.
Grayson was another one of those
He was a
characters.
dumbass.
He was, but that being said, it was one of those times when I know you hate cliches. A cliche would have worked a lot better. He was kind of like the hero of the park, and a lot of movies you get the guy who's the hero, and you find
He
out
was
he's really.
essentially who's the guy who voices Brock Sampson? I know I just lost some cred for asking.
He was supposed to be kind of Patrick Warburton.
Patrick Warburton.
But at the
I
but
totally know that. Just
as
forgot,
opposed
but-
to being he's gonna be in that
the whole
Peabody
time.
movie.
Yeah, he is. The whole time that I was watching this guy, I was like, so this is totally should have been Patrick Warburton.
But at the same time,
because it was exactly that kind of character. But it wasn't any good.
He
it wasn't done very well.
And the idea is that, though, you can go with that he's clearly an idiot, but he's a likable idiot, or you can go that everyone thinks he's great and you find out at some point that he's like a coward or it was all just luck. And this one, they go right off the bat and make him a total idiot with he's not even funny, no real redeeming features, yet all the other characters, every time he showed them, oh my god, he's here to save us! And that got a little
he was a joke that didn't work.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all the jokes in this film. It's a joke that doesn't work.
Ugh.
It's not like a joke like in Freebirds where it's just, oh god, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But it's a joke that doesn't work.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters were better than they usually would be in this kind of film. Like we were both saying when Andy, the female character, came up, well, there's the love interest. But they actually, it was sort of there, but they didn't actually
It was almost more like they were just kind of, they started out like, she was a pretty strong figure to begin with, one of the leaders, sort of, and then she really just didn't, while she didn't hate him, she also thought he was a nuisance, and by the end, as opposed to them being madly in love, they just kind of have a mutual respect.
Yeah, so
she gets why he does what he does, and he understands her motivations, but that's about it.
So that's
That's an actual thing that happens.
It felt like, it felt like this film could have benefited from better writers.
Very much
honestly.
so.
Like, it actually could have been fairly.
There was the side plot
better
about the
writing.
humans in the nut store that were planning on robbing the bank.
Actually, this is a good point to maybe go over the story since we didn't start with that.
We didn't.
So the nut job is there's the main character.
What is his name?
Surly,
yes.
the main character, Surly, is basically, he doesn't really care about other people. Him and his friend, his rat friend. Who
Was
doesn't
it
speak.
weird that only he and the other squirrels were given actual names? Everyone else was just their animal name? Other than the dog. Raccoon, the woodchucks, mole.
So Surly, basically, he's considered a nuisance in the park because all the animals in the park, they gather food. He just cares about himself.
He gathers his own food, and the winter is coming. Winter is coming.
Yeah. After an incident where both him and Andy, the female squirrel, they're both trying to get at this nut cart, and it winds up being set on fire and exploding.
It exploded.
And he winds up destroying all their food. He gets banished, goes to the city, finds this nut shop.
A nuttery.
Yeah, where he decides that he wants to get all of the nuts. And then
He'd be nuts not to.
Shut up.
I'm sorry.
I was expecting this movie to have a lot of those and was pleased that it did not.
Yeah, it was more like, you're nuts, and it was just kind of like throwaway lines. It wasn't every nut pun in the book.
Which I was expecting.
Yeah.
So don't make this be all that way. So, she gets it out of him that he's planning to get at these nuts and makes a deal with him so that they can both get it. At the same time, this nut shop is actually owned by real criminals who are planning a bank heist. So basically, alongside the story, there's a bank heist going on with these human characters that's kind of going in tandem.
It's basically like they're digging a tunnel under the road to get to the bank, while Surly and the other animals are trying to dig a tunnel to get into the nut shop.
Yeah, basically. So it does, and I thought that was a fairly clever idea. One thing, and you mentioned,
Yeah.
we were more interested in the human characters.
Yeah, they were actually, some of the characters were actually fairly likable. There was the thing between the gang leader and his girlfriend who wanted him to go straight, that they only really hinted at that, but I felt that even with
they were kind of weirdly well developed
for so little actual like interaction between the
basically
characters.
just like a
kind of a side
yeah
thing just for flavor, and you really kind of got the feeling like you knew more about them than you did any of the animals.
Well, maybe not even necessarily that, because the characters weren't nearly as badly written as in something like Freebirds.
Oh,
like
God.
The main characters, they did
The
seem to
guy
have
was,
like personalities and stuff, but it felt like with the human characters that there were all of these like. There was like subtext.
Some of the same things kept coming up. Like the big like lunkhead guy wanted to use his share to buy a petting zoo, which meant you weren't. While he was kind of a bad guy, you didn't really hate him because he was
I didn't dislike any of it. I mean, even the big boss who was planning on double crossing. I kind of was like a little bit disappointed that he got caught in the end.
Yeah. I didn't much.
Spoilers. It doesn't matter. It's not what the story's about.
The weird dude who could for some reason hear the dog whistle was a bit odd, but yeah.
Well, even he sort of like, I kind of want to know more about him.
Yeah, you did. You never got to, and then he tried to betray the boss at the end but again, that was the only character that you felt like, well, that came out of nowhere.
I thought there was actually a lot of that, where it did seem like there was some stuff that came. Again, this movie would have benefited a lot from better writers.
Writers,
it almost seems like it actually had a lot of things that worked or would have worked with better jokes and slightly better writing.
Right. They completely wasted having Liam Neeson voice the raccoon.
Oh, yeah. So, another spoiler, the big raccoon guy that runs the park winds up being the villain, which is one of the things that I definitely thought was pretty...
It was out there, like, at the first meeting, he's kind of just a wise old raccoon, and suddenly...
he does like a...
They really had, like, no... You had no feeling other than that Surly didn't like him to have the idea that this guy was up to anything.
And even at the beginning, like, when he banishes Surly, it's sort of like... he just blew up their entire supply of food.
Right.
Hell yeah, you should banish him.
And then all of a sudden it was like, as opposed to him just being like the guy who was at his wit's end, it was just all out of nowhere you got this that he's
a criminal on a power trip.
And it was like, wait, but why does he want to be king of this park so bad? It doesn't seem like there's any reason to want that.
Yeah, his reasoning for it is, he doesn't want them to succeed in finding food.
Right.
Because
then he's in charge.
Without food, he has more control over them.
But at the same time, it's like, there's nothing to control.
Well, it's not only that. The problem is, from the beginning, you never get that impression from him until he straight up says it about halfway through the film.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's sort of like...
Well, they were like in the little mill base thing, and he had like... It wasn't even like he had a huge stockpile of food. He had, like, knickknacks and sunglasses. Like, what was that all about?
I don't know. Like, yeah, you got the impression that he was hoarding food by, like, the writing and stuff.
But you never saw any evidence of it. He was in just as hard a position as the rest of them.
Right. So... It just, that did lead to a lot of uninspired moments. The point where he tries to drown them while they're building the tunnel.
Right.
And everyone thinks it's Surly's fault. That was pretty predictable.
Now, yeah, that one was, I'll admit I dozed off a bit at that point.
Yeah. Literally, he told me on the way, he was like, so how long was I out?